Hi, and welcome to The Point. I'm Kassi Cruz. I have Vivian Callahan, Dan Cruz, and Rico with me. What we're going to be discussing today is lots of different stuff. Really, I think the point is to create dialogue and create discussions. I'm not an expert on anything, really. I have a master's degree in theater arts and acting, directing. Does that make me an expert on anything? I do have an opinion, though. And that is what all of us are going to be sharing with you, is our opinions on different topics and different issues. And really, I guess the point for me is that you will also have an opportunity to be part of the discussion, and you might change my opinion, because I can do that. And we can continue to evolve as human beings so we can create some harmonious planet. That's my whole goal. And, of course, have fun. That's the most important goal. And I'm going to actually turn it over to Vivian right now, and she's going to tell us what kind of topic we're going to start with.
Well, Cassie's very generously allowed me to pick the topic. So last time we were talking about violence, and I feel that we kind of missed a very big part of that particular discussion, which is domestic violence. I think afterwards we talked a little bit about it, and there were some differences of opinions, how that takes place. Why doesn't the person just leave? I think it's a very interesting topic, and what can we do about it? Anybody have any ideas?
Well, what do you mean that when you're talking about domestic violence and the person just doesn't leave? The person who's getting hit, like at home, or beaten at home,
right.
Why do they continue to stay with that person?
Right.
In that regard, is that what you're talking about?
Right. Well, how does that person, why does the person abuse? And why does the person in the abusive situation stay? Why does that person stay?
I think your first question is very. The answer to that is very similar to violence in general. It has to do with control. It has to do with power, and not having control, and lashing out in the only way they know how, which is with physical violence. As far as why people stay in that relationship, my feeling is it's mostly economic. A lot of women traditionally are economic prisoners. I think women who have money, who don't need a man financially, are less likely to stick around.
I'll have to say I actually disagree with that.
Me too.
Me too.
Good.
I was trying to lead you off, brother, but
you were trying to hold us back.
I was trying to hold you back. I could see
baby.
them. They was like loading up over here.
I like it. Go.
You can't wait, I know. I just disagree, because really I think that the people that allow themselves to be in that position doesn't have to do with economics all the time. It may be a factor in some cases. I will tell you that actually I believe that I was a victim of domestic violence, and it wasn't about economics for me, because I was the breadwinner. So I was the breadwinner, and I also allowed abusive situations to happen to me. And I really think that it had more to do with self-esteem, and my self-esteem, and my love for myself, rather than anything else, somebody else. If you allow something to happen to you, or that person can convince you that you're crazy or stupid or that you're not worthwhile, you're more likely to stay in that situation, because they've turned, you've allowed that to penetrate your being and say, yes, you're right, that's what I am, and you're all I deserve. So I actually deserve to be hit. You're right, I actually deserve what you're giving me, because it's my fault that you hit me, because I forced you into it, and I made that happen. I made you be mad at me because you didn't like who I was, or you didn't like what I did, or what I said, or my opinion.
What do you think is the cause of that low self-esteem?
I think not good parenting. That's my opinion. And I love my parents very much, and it really hurts me to have to say that. And I know they loved me, and they did their very best. But I grew up, when I was 5, my father and mother divorced, as you know. You were, 4? And then they fought about us. They actually used us as their vehicle to get at each other. My mother, not so much, but my father. And just a lot of just tug-of-warring, and not about I just don't remember my parents saying, what about you, Kassi? What makes you tick? Who are you as a person, you little child who is growing and fantasizing? For me, I was always making stuff up and twirling and dancing. And
I'm curious.
So
I'm curious. How long ago did you realize that this was the motivation behind your acceptance of abuse?
I got to tell you, I think through my lifespan it's changed, because I would never let anybody hit me until after my mom got lost at sea when I was 21. So I was never with a bad counterpart. And I had really a lot of boyfriends from 16 to 21. Well, not a lot, but I had, really good boyfriends. I had boyfriends during that time that were very gentle and very good to me, because I didn't allow that, because I wouldn't allow that in my life. But when my father died when I was 15, and then at 21, my mom got lost at sea, and I lost all value. And at that time is when actually I reverted into having abusive relationships. And I know it was because I had no value for my own life. So, and it comes down to the parenting in the very beginning, but it was more of a reaction.
It's an extraordinarily complicated psychosis, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and I don't really know the answer, and I'm just telling you my predicament.
Well, I think that you're partially right about the parenting. I think that we learn how to behave in a relationship from our parents. And if we're always in a situation where we have to be the peacemaker, or we think that our job is the peacemaker, or that this is something that I can't control, except for by being as good as I possibly can, because I also was in an abusive relationship. And I can tell you, I could have gotten out. It was not a financial situation for me. And as kind of a sidebar, I know quite a few very, very successful women who have been or are in abusive relationships. I think it's a lot more about the fact that you grow up a kind of a super achiever and a pleaser. And when you're in these relationships, often the abuser is a very charming, very dynamic, wonderful guy. And he can be wonderful to you in some instances. And then all of a sudden he changes into a monster. And it's that dynamic of, well, maybe if I'm just a little bit better, a little more sexy, a little more beautiful, a little more this, a little more that, he's going to love you. But usually, I think in the case of an abuser, there's a self-esteem problem there too.
Yeah, and they actually use each other for the dynamic to occur.
Because
it requires two, not just one.
What I noticed is, as I became more successful, he became more violent. And occasions which should have been happy occasions became occasions for violence and for threats. And it was like, it was terrible.
Because he had low self-esteem then too? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
And it's very interesting. And the more you get sucked into it, and the more you kind of compromise yourself a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, the more you lose yourself, and the less self-esteem you have. So it's kind of a
cycle.
It keeps generating itself. It keeps perpetuating itself.
How long did you stay there?
A little over 10 years.
That was a lot of generating.
It was.
So it's just like,
It was. And in the beginning, it
why
was
did
like.
you finally leave?
Or what prompted you to leave?
I actually got help, and I finally got it through my very thick skull that I could leave, that I didn't deserve this, that I did deserve better, and that the only reason why I deserved it is because I stayed in it, and it was a very bad period of time. But it wasn't all bad. That was the interesting thing about it.
Because some was good, some was bad. There was a mixture.
Because a lot of it was very good. Because when he was good, he was great. He was fabulous. But then he would be bad, and he'd be very bad. And there was just the good times ceased to be that good because I was always waiting for the hammer to drop. And that could be, and it I think very rarely was anything that I caused. I think it was much more about what was happening in his life and his lack of success.
So even during your good times, you were still walking on rice paper?
Oh, God, yes. And I was always trying to figure out, oh, gosh, you know, have I done this? Have I done this? Oh, I don't want to make him angry.
I can understand that because I did that when I was growing up as a kid. I mean, my father was like that. I mean, I love my father dearly, but at the same time, it was like, you know, I'd come home one day at 3:30, you know, basically come home from school about 3:30 in the afternoon, and it was cool. And, you know, then sometimes I'm not because, you know, the fellas were hanging, we're chilling, you know, we're doing our thing. And come home at like 4, I'm like, and it was like Jekyll and Hyde, you know, just because of a half hour. Sometimes it'd be like 3:35. I'm like, dude, you know, what are you bugging on? You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. You know,
Of course,
it's like,
you didn't use those exact words.
no, I know. I mean, you know, hey, you know what I'm saying? Rico has no front teeth, is that? Anyway.
So
Here's the note.
So
You're
it
right.
wasn't because you were bad, it was because you weren't using language properly.
Exactly.
So
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. But, you know, so I agree with you. I mean, a lot of it can come from childhood or, you know, but at the same time, I'm not a parent, but in defense of parents, I know my parents didn't have a blueprint manual going, okay, this is how you raise a kid.
There
And
isn't.
it wasn't like, okay, I'm not making excuses. At the same time, I'm saying, you know, I know my parents came up in a different era and how they raised us was different. How I'm seeing my, you know, my siblings' kids being raised now is totally different from the way we're being raised. And a lot of that attention has been given to them, you know what I mean? Whereas we were disciplined, you know what I mean? Wow, whoop yo, you know what I mean? If you don't get your, you know what I mean? That kind of a thing. It's not that kind of, it's like, it's more of an opportunity to explain yourself. It's like, well, why did you do this? Well, what prompted you to do this?
It's more about
You know,
dialogue.
It's more about dialogue, you know what I mean? There was no dialogue in my house. It was like a monologue. In fact, it was like, you know,
think in most
a
people's
dictatorship,
household, though.
you know what I mean?
I think in most
So-
people's household, too. I think that that's very common.
Exactly.
Well,
But
mine too. Boy, my mother was a rageaholic.
Right.
And we all walked on eggshells just to make sure that she didn't explode.
Exactly. So, but at what point, let's flip the script and say, okay, at what point did we go, okay, that's how we were raised and we can go on all day long. Everybody's got a story. At some point, it's late in the day and you got to go like, I got to take responsibility for my life and I got to like, boom, and do this. So, you know, how would we go about that? Because that's what it is. We can sit there and blame everybody all day long for our problems. But it's
That's
like
not gonna solve
No, it's not
anything.
going to solve anything.
'Cause
And,
you're an
and
adult.
as a matter of fact, most people don't want to hear about them later anyway. You know what I mean?
But you are absolutely
You know.
right. We all do have to take responsibility, 100% responsibility for what's happened.
For everything.
And I think that all of it, when you get into that kind of syndrome, you start to become very comfortable with being a victim because you have a story and you can talk to your friends about, oh, poor pitiful me, did you hear what he did? He's such a monster.
Oh, yeah,
and
you get more
everything
stories
else.
in Lifetime television. I
But-
mean, you know, yeah.
But at some
Well, that's
point,
what the soap operas are made
but at some point,
That is what the soap operas are made of, and that's what people are watching on TV. I mean, let's flip into something, too. I'm going to let you finish, but let's talk about television when we get an opportunity.
well, yeah, but at some point, you do have to say, it's my responsibility to get out of this. It's my responsibility to change me
Right.
and the way I react or don't react to certain situations, and take charge. And I think but I think a lot of people are just stuck. I know I was. And so
It's kinda like a
go talk to friends. I went to actually Codependence Anonymous for a little while, and that was really, really great because I was at first I thought, oh, I don't need this. This is stupid. But I was in a room of people who were going through very, very similar things, and it made me feel less alone. And they were all in different stages of getting out or recovery. And so I was able to see, okay, well, this person is kind of in the beginning of this. This person is more like me, and this person actually has moved on, and look what a difference changing her made. It was great. So I don't attend anymore, but I encourage anybody who's in a relationship like that to go to CODA because it was really good.
And I think for me, what's been really important is that, I chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, and that's helped me make it through, because I've actually created value again for my life, and I love creating value, and for me, because then I also can create value for other people, and that's been really the joy that I've been able to have, and I just found it when I was 26, so it took me from 21 to 26, actually, within that period, to just really, and since then for the next 10 years, really, really working through that for myself, and saying that, I am responsible. So what my day consists of is what I make of it, and how I react to things. And also, I think the really interesting thing, be willing to stand alone. Be willing to stand up for what you believe in and what you really feel, because it's correct. Your intuition is everything, and that's the other thing that I've discovered, is what's inside of me is true. And nobody, if it doesn't feel right when somebody's telling me something about life or myself now, and if it doesn't ring true for me, it just bounces right off of me now. And it didn't before, because I used to absorb it and think, oh, they must be right because they know more than me. And I know they don't know more than me anymore.
No.
And I know more about me and how I'm going to be happy in life and how I'm going to make my next moments. And I am willing to stand alone. And I have been. And so it's been positive for me in that regard. And it hasn't been easy. It's not like that's the easy path. It's, it takes effort. It requires effort on my part to make sure that I'm doing what's important for Kassi.
That's the other thing about being in an abusive relationship. I think what you do is you abdicate responsibility for your own life. And it's a very convenient way to avoid taking care of you and being responsible for your own success or own failure.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy. Oh, I can't do it because... I'm just so overwrought about this whole thing.
And fear of success, I think, is a really big issue for a lot of us that may have, I think that's tied in with the self-esteem. I think that, a lot of us have self-esteem issues because it's not necessarily taught for us to have dialogue. Because one thing that I do with the kids that I run into, I try to create a dialogue with them rather than... I want to understand them a little more, because I think when I was a kid, I wanted to be understood a little bit more. I had something to say, but not really anybody cared to listen.
Well, the fear of success thing too is also based on wanting or not wanting to take responsibility. Because with success comes responsibility.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
the more is given, the more is expected.
I always call I've been in the music business for a while, and it's like a lot of people are comfortable in the demo stage, in the demo tape stage, because they're like, oh, I know you can do it. I know you. Oh, yeah, it's great. Oh, yeah, you're gonna make it. Blah blah blah. And then you finally get the record deal, and you finally get the accolades of all of what, and now you're freaked out because the record company expects you to come out with another hit, and the public's like, well, the public expects me to do this, and I better not cut my hair because it's like you become consumed by this, what other people think, and it's just like this whole mountain. It's like turns into this little bitty snowball, turns into this huge snowball, and you're like, you know what I mean? So a lot of people are comfortable not quite making it, because people are still cheering you on. You're still the underdog, that kind of a thing. But as history has shown us, as soon as you get on top, or let me break that down here, in our business, as soon as you have a hit record, but you ain't got another one. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
Why is
Living
that?
La Vida Loca. When you gonna sing another hit? You know what I mean? That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So that's the way we are. We set people up to fail. We set you up to tear you down. So what's up with that?
Well, I think that what you said about that people are very quick to start worrying about what other people are thinking, and especially in the music business, because it's so,
or entertainment business as a whole.
It's so fickle. I think that it's really easy to kind of get sucked into that whole thing of oh my God, I better not have a hair out of place, or else they're going to hate me, or this Christina Aguilera is coming up. Oh my God, she's going to take over my place.
Or Callista Flockhart with the real skinny figure. I don't know nothing about the space program, but she ain't eating about a month and a half. Okay, somebody need to take
don't say anything about her eating, because she had a big thing about it.
Okay,
now she has a hit show. Leave her alone.
No, she's fine. No, she's fine. I'm just saying, but I know skin and bones when I see it. She need to go to Fatburger or something. I don't know.
She likes burgers.
Okay, well, maybe she might want to eat one.
But talking about
eat a fat burger.
This whole
just don't
thing,
look at it.
One of the best quotes that I've heard in a long time was from Star Jones, who has this mantra. She says, "I am the only, I am the author of the only dictionary that defines my life."
There it is.
There you go.
And look at her. I mean, she's doing okay.
No, Star's cool. That's my
So what do you
homegirl.
think,
Honestly.
Dan?
She's great.
We haven't heard from you for a while. You're just quiet like a little mouse over
I
there.
don't
You
care.
must be steaming about something.
No, I think it does come down to other people's expectations of your life, and that's another reason that women stay, is because they don't want everybody to know
How bad it is.
how bad it is that they've chosen to be with this man who.
That's true.
That's interesting.
That's a good one. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah.
Or they do, because it adds
Oh,
to
the
their little
drama?
soap opera.
Okay.
Oh, we're talking soap opera.
Okay.
But then, of
But-
course,
but-
then what are they watching during the day? And what are we really airing on television? Do we have any consciousness as a society? What kind of stuff, like the programming?
We're only
that's
conscious about
on-
the bank account. Let's be real.
It all
Yeah,
goes
that's
about the
true.
economics.
It's all about
it's
the
all
ratings,
about, and
baby.
sensationalism.
It's all about
and
the
it's all
Benjamins. That's
about,
all it
you know,
is.
that's
About
why
the
you have the
Benjamins.
chases on TV, and you
but
have.
art imitates life, not the other way around.
I don't know.
You don't think art
I don't
also
know.
pushes life in certain ways?
Not
You
at
don't.
all. No, I don't.
I agree with you.
I think art imitates life. All this blaming of the media for murders. Murders have been around for a million
I'm
years.
not blaming the media for murder.
Well, I'm not
I'm
saying- I'm not
what
saying
they're
you are.
how we're shaping. You're just saying in general.
We just didn't
Yeah.
have them on
And then-
television.
But yeah,
The
and then
Yeah.
Okay.
but if murders didn't get ratings,
Right.
Then exactly
then
because
they'd
we all
be-
want to watch the horrific.
It's a human fascination with sex and death.
true.
True, yeah.
And car chases are damn exciting.
So
I mean, look
so
at
is
the
sex.
look at the new Bond movie. Anybody coming out against the new Bond movie?
Right.
And yet that whole series is ultra violent.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's all about violence and sex.
Well, it's true. It's sensationalized, and also we sensationalize, people that we actually sometimes talk about so negatively in the media. They get like so dogged, but yet they're our kids' idols, and
Right.
and some of them even are idols, and then they get dogged in the media or something bad is said about them, and they're just scrutinized and they're demoralized as human beings or whatever. But those are the people that our kids are aspiring. As people
the
are
other thing is,
aspiring
too,
to be,
you're not
because they have
allowed-
more. They have this because all of a sudden they're getting the money.
Yeah. Well, see, the
I
other thing is that you're not allowed to make a mistake.
Yeah, but you
That's
know
the
what?
thing.
Though?
You're not allowed to
Human
make a
beings
mistake.
learn by mistakes. That's the
I know, but
only
what
way
I'm
we
saying
learn is
is-
if we have mistakes.
I understand, but what
so
I'm
why
saying.
isn't that okay?
But that's what I'm bringing up. It's like you're just not allowed to. You're not allowed to. It's like you're successful. You're this. All of a sudden, oh my God, he was arrested because he forgot to pay a ticket. Take that TV show from him. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. It gets ridiculous. I'm being, silly
They
now.
haven't
but
done
I'm
it for
saying,
the paying the ticket. It was more like picking up somebody on the
Yeah,
street.
okay.
Or,
You
oh my
know.
God, he was playing the bongos in the nude in the privacy.
There
of
it
his
is.
own
His
home.
own home. The man was naked in his own house.
Oh my God.
Okay, and his birthday with his little Ricky Ricardo's jumpsuit, thing, Babalu, whatever he was playing. And they're going to arrest him. Well, they arrested him because he had weed, right? He had weed, and they said, why did they go in the house in the first place? Not because he was naked, because he got busted for weed, right?
No,
they saw him
it was.
do it. No, I don't
no,
know.
No,
I
no,
didn't
no.
see
It was
No idea
it was
what
a
you guys are
complaint
talking
about sound.
Matthew McConaughey.
He was making too
Oh,
much
really?
noise.
He was making too much noise playing his bongo.
Because he was
And then when
playing
they
his
found, then when they went inside, and he was naked playing the bongo, and they found the weed, right? They found the marijuana, right?
I don't recall the weed portion of
That's
it.
a
but I
damn
just
shame. You
think
got
it's so funny.
keep your drawers, keep your windows shut. Keep
your drawers on.
and
Yeah.
your drawers on. Keep
And
your
if you're
drawers
gonna
on and your
play
windows shut.
bongos, don't
The
do
camera's right
it
there,
in the
You know what I'm
nude.
saying? Keep your drawer, everything. I'm telling you, because if you're naked, they gonna come get you. I'm telling you. And make sure you didn't take a cold shower first. Anyway, I'm just saying.
Ouch. So this domestic violence, is there a solution? Is there some?
Better parenting.
That's pretty general, though. Is there something
I
that
think-
you any advice that you would like to impart or anything else you guys want to kind of?
Yes.
Yes.
Take responsibility
There it is.
Take responsibility for your own happiness, for your own success. Don't look for somebody else to give it to you. Don't go after a mate because, quote unquote, he makes you whole. Be whole yourself.
So how do we instill that in 19 and 20-year-old women?
Good question.
Goes back
I
to
think
Better parenting?
better parenting.
Well, you know, but
okay, we'll get that in.
we'll get that in. We want better parenting. Yeah.
But you're right.
but
You're absolutely right. It's very general. It's like the school district should be for the children. It's like, what the hell does that mean? Right?
No, yeah. Let's talk about it.
I understand that it's incredibly general.
I think that there's got to be better dialogue, not only with the parents, but with people in general. If you've had this kind of experience, share it with people. Let them know that they're, number one, they're not alone. Let them know that, number two, they can get out of it and they can have a life.
Yeah, and know that it's about, and this was the hardest thing for me to realize, was that I actually was allowing that to be in my life. So that was the hardest thing for me to realize, that it was in my life because I allowed it. Mm-hmm. And as long as I don't allow it, I can say no, and then it doesn't come in my life. But I have to say no, rather than I was willing to be with somebody rather than not be with somebody, rather than say no to that. It's a confusing issue for some people.
And that brings up another issue with that. I think one of the things that happens is people are afraid to be alone. People are afraid that if they let this person go,
they're going to be alone.
They're going to be alone, and that is more scary than staying in the house with somebody who just might kill them. And
or just maim them, or just hurt them in some regard.
Yes,
right.
In many
being
regards.
Hurt a little bit is better than being alone. But one of my friends said, "Alone to me really means all one." So you're all one, and really we're all that, and that's all we really got anyway.
True.
In the long and short of it.
True. Well, I know in my case, I was terrified of being alone. I was terrified that I was getting older, and that and that was one of the things that he told me. He says, "You better just put up with me because I'm the only one you're ever going to be able to have." And
ouch.
And you are, nobody is going to want you. Nobody is going to want you.
Now, my question,
What a lie.
Where is he right now?
He's here in this area.
Are you saying there? And is he?
But she has a great relationship.
I know,
now.
she's moved on.
She's
I have
moved on,
moved
and she has a
on.
great
I
relationship.
have
We need
moved
to wrap
on.
up. So,
So
any
you
final
played
thoughts?
yourself, brother. You played yourself. So
Yeah.
you
You're
played
like,
yourself.
find that
So she's
camera.
fine, okay? She's fine. Stevie Wonder can see that, and Ray Charles is driving. She's fine, okay?
Hey,
you messed
Purple
up.
Rain, okay?
There it is. That's what I'm talking about. Tina Turner's next
Any
background
final thoughts,
singer.
Dan?
I think it comes down to people taking responsibility for their lives and not accepting abuse in their lives, and being able to say no and being willing to be alone. I think you're absolutely right.
Everybody, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again. That's a wrap for this show, and we'll come back and talk about more stuff later.
Later.
Peace, man.
Good night.